I guess to fast forward a little bit in time, another interesting saga, just as an example of things we need to look at with new eyes. I've heard you say that even something like the famous Irish potato famine isn't really some spud fungus, but rather a Freemasonic plot of Irish extermination. Is that true?
Yeah, that is true. The documentation for this is really clear. And there's a website run by the Irish scholar and historian Chris Fogarty that I would recommend people attend. And there you'll get to see things like the bills of lading that described how much food was being taken out of Ireland during this period. And you'll also see the number of British troops that were inside of Ireland. The number escapes me, but it's just an enormous fraction, perhaps 70% of all of the British troops in this period, and say, the 1830s or 1850 were at one time or another in Ireland because the people were basically attempting to rebel at having their food stolen. What's really important about the Irish so-called potato famine, which Fogarty simply refers to as Irish Holocaust, which is the correct description, is that after the fact, they came up with this idea that it was the potato crop failure that caused the famine. And this has been universally understood. But the details to understand what really happened are in existence. And so this is sort of the struggle of mind control versus the truth springing up. We'll see what happens. But hopefully people will start to recognize that it was a 100% population reduction maneuver. That's really what occurs here. And it wasn't a small number. A lot of times people will say it was like 1 million. Well, Fogarty's got good data on this. It actually was around 6 million Irish people ended up being killed or starved one way or another. So again, what's important is that this takes you right into Palmerston, who was the British Prime Minister and also one of the largest landowners in Ireland during this time, and British Freemasonry. And if you want to get a perspective of the British Freemason idea about equality as opposed to genocide, you have to bear in mind that Palmerston was the head Freemason of the Orient when he was residing there. And so he was the one who actually led the British battleships against the Chinese who were attempting to resist opium addiction. So these are important historical data points. I mean, because you have, when you get in, say, like to the creation of the counterculture, a lot of times people say, they ask me, well, how could anyone be so evil as to, do something on this scale to society? Well, just the same people who perpetrated the Irish famine, genocide, and also addicted 25% of the Chinese adults to opium. I mean, there is inside of Freemasonry something really not just violent, but racially destructive, because it targets these groups and attempts basically to exterminate them. So that's why I encourage people to not simply take my word for it, but if you actually have this idea about the Irish potato famine, so-called, go to Chris's website and get the data. His documentation is really excellent. And, no one will have any confusion at all about what happened after you spend some time at the site. The Masonic control in Britain simply decided to reduce the Irish Catholic population and did so.
Man, no story can be taken at face value. It just seems like everything is games within games. And I get the same thing about 9/11. People will say, well, how could the government be so evil as to let that happen? It's like, this is not new. This isn't like the one time they killed their own people, all right? It's just ridiculous the way people try to frame things that way. And